Right, we're live, Miss Monica.
Hi,
You
Sharon.
almost missed our 2 o'clock deadline here to go on because of the chatter, but thank you for joining us on Tea Talks today. And Caitlin, I'm shouting you out for recommending and referring Monica to us. Thank you. Monica, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you, Sharon. I'm thankful to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Gratitude just in life in general, especially for us survivors, is just one of the things that they tell you to be. So every day, just have that attitude, to be grateful. And of course, you would know a lot about that as with the work that you're doing. So, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience and a little bit about what you're doing now?
Yeah, my name is Monica Haro. I was diagnosed at 42 in 2014, just a week after my son turned 5 years old. I had stage 3C, invasive lobular breast cancer. It was in 14 nodes. So I did, the full buffet,
Mm,
chemo, radiation, mastectomy. I've had 2 reconstructions. I've had my ovaries removed. So done all that. So I'm coming up on my 9-year cancerversary in September. So
thank you.
can't even believe
Yeah.
that far. And along the way, I've just been working and or volunteering in the breast cancer community ever since. So it's been awesome. I have a big passion for the breast cancer community.
Yes, yes. Well, thank God and congrats on your, anniversary or cancerversary, however they're calling it nowadays. But, when I speak with survivors, it's just, especially those, just thriving like you are, who has, found purpose and, got involved even more than, sometimes cancer leads you into a direction you never thought you would, right? You just
100%.
and so it's very encouraging to see women and men too take that experience and repurpose it, to
Mhm.
something that's going to help others. And so I know that you're working with the app and the online platform because our talk today is the importance of community in cancer care. So tell us a little bit about Bezzy Breast. Oh,
Yeah,
Bezzy Breast.
right. So I'm the community guide for Bezzy Breast Cancer, which is a support app where you can access it web-based too. And it's just an online place, in your pocket anytime to connect with others in the breast cancer community. Um, I think I think that's what's kind of cool about it. You can access it literally anytime of day or night. It's an app. You can just hop on. And what I do in there is moderate and try to create a vibe of a safe space where
Mhm.
people feel free to share their stories or ask questions, and also to just facilitate conversations sometimes. On topics pertinent to breast cancer or not. Sometimes the community just wants to hang out and not talk about breast cancer.
Right, right.
So,
So you get to guide those conversations.
yeah,
You
I love it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes. So how did community help you when you were going through your situation? Or did you have a community? Because you're working now, helping others by creating this community, so you could facilitate conversations around this very, challenging time. But how did community help you, or did it?
So, back in 2014, when I was diagnosed, I didn't really have any community. My first community was on Instagram. I found other people who were kind of like my same cohort, if you will. We were all kind of more or less diagnosed around within the same year and things. And I didn't know about many support groups. And being that I was diagnosed relatively young at 42, my local support groups I was connected to, I wasn't feeling connected to that those communities and support groups because I was the youngest person there,
Right.
right? So at that time, but kind of along the way, I had discovered that I did want to be connected to the community, and I had decided that I wanted to learn how to make realistic areola tattoos um, for other survivors. And so kind of while I was finishing up treatment, I apprenticed to learn how to do that. And I did that for a few years. And that was just my way of wanting to connect
Hmm.
with others in the community. And in in doing that, I ended up at a plastic surgeon in San Francisco, Karen Horton. She was having like a breast reconstruction awareness type thing in her office and was having different people there. And she had invited me to come and show my portfolio. And I met somebody else, Kira Kotler from Everviolet. She's a breast cancer survivor who um, started a line of um, lingerie, after surgery wear and stuff
Hmm.
created just for survivors. And she and I kind of got to talking. She's like, "Oh, you need to connect with Bay Area young survivors." I was like, What's that?" So where I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's a support group for women who have been diagnosed to age 45 or younger, um, who've gone through breast cancer. So I found community finally, but it was a few years out, and I didn't know how bad I needed the community till I got there.
Yeah.
So, started going to some support meetings, and even though I was, wasn't newly diagnosed at that time, to me and most people you'll talk to, the hard part of a cancer diagnosis comes after the surgeries, after the treatment, and navigating the new normal. So, it it kind of found me when it found me when it needed to find me. And
Hmm.
through connecting with that community is how I connected with Bezzy Breast Cancer. I think it was called Healthline Breast Cancer 5 years ago. Um, One of the community members at Bay Area Young Survivors, Helen Chen, was working at Healthline and needed a moderator for this new app they were creating and somebody to test things out for a while. And I raised my hand, and here it is 5 years later, seeing this app grow. So that's
Yeah.
been a really just a big blessing. I love that community so much, and being able to be a part of that. I don't really know of 5 years ago anyways, I didn't know of any, online support apps like that. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how I ended up there.
That's awesome. And by the way, Kenneth, thank you so much, Kenneth, for sharing that. Your
Congratulations,
story. And
Kenneth.
congratulations. I mean, cancer free since 2006. I mean, thank goodness. I mean, that's very inspiring, very um, motivating, and just very encouraging. So thank you for sharing that with us. And you were saying, Monica, and it's just so true. It's interesting you said what you said. I was speaking to someone this morning, and they write they produce these breast cancer, different kind of cancer, these little booklets. And one of the things that she was saying, which is so true, because my doctor had said the same thing, that it's after surgery, after treatments, after everything is on radiation, when it's all done, that's usually when a cancer survivor or a cancer patient panics because there's nothing being done. And no one understands that, right? You think that, oh my goodness, you know, during the treatment is hard. No, during the treatment is hard on your body physically, but after treatment, when nothing else is being done, now it starts to affect you mentally because you're worried about did they get everything and is it coming back? So
It catches up. I agree with you so much on that, Sharon. I think you're kind of in that place of going to appointments and trying to figure out practical tips for how to manage the busyness of cancer
yes,
life, whether you're doing chemo, radiation, or surgery, or all of it. And once all that tempers down, the mind
yes,
mind
yes.
catches up. I will never forget the day I walked out of my last radiation, walking to my car, and I was foggy. Treatment had made
Mhm.
me very foggy. I still have lingering in my brain 9 years later. That's real. I couldn't find my car right away, and I'm kinda walking around, but I remember having this overwhelming feeling come over me, a feeling like a deer in the headlights, like, what do I do next? Like,
Yes,
I felt like, did I need some ceremony? Did I don't
yes.
know. It was like a weird milestone, right?
It was. I
Yeah.
remember when they said to the last radiation treatment, and they said, ring that bell, and it was okay. I'm gonna ring the bell. Okay, great. Ring the bell, and you're like, does this mean what? It means I'm done with treatment, but what does it mean for me and my cancer? Am I cured? Am I? It's so emotional.
Yeah.
That this is why I believe so much in integrative oncology, because you have that therapy side if you need it. You
Yeah.
have someone talking to you post treatment about perhaps diet and nutrition and exercise. So there's some support, your community, even if it's a
Mhm.
doctor. So I love that you have created, you're part of Bezzy breast cancer, because you have the experience, you've walked the walk, you know how it feels like falling off a precipice when treatment is over. And what do you do next with this life, because you're no longer busy with the treatment. So yeah, definitely the power there. There's a question for you. You also mentioned removal of your ovaries as part of your treatment. As a young breast cancer survivor, was there any discussion of options to maintain your fertility during and after treatment?
There was. Thank you, Peter.
Peter, don't try to say his last name.
I
I
could
can't
see the last name though.
I think there's a Shovelino.
Shovelino, I like that.
Yes, yes.
There was, but I have learned along the way that fertility options aren't presented to a lot of young breast cancer patients right away. I mean, my oncologist happened to be the same age as me, and I I was, like I said, 42. I had already had my 5-year-old son. Wasn't sure what I was gonna do, but I remember she really pushed. Okay, you need to go get some eggs harvested. You need to freeze some embryos. Like she was pushing for it, which I really appreciated. Especially when I have learned in subsequent years that hasn't been the case for some people, or some people have had to advocate really hard to get fertility counseling or find out about fertility preservation, find out about the costs associated with that if their insurance, covers freezing eggs and embryos and those kinds of things. And ultimately, that I decided that was it for me.
Hmm.
But that's the other thing, like, oh, can't cancer made me make that choice.
Right.
And even though it's probably done, it's still something you feel that's taken away from you, and that it's another loss to process through or grieve or however it hits for you, you know?
I understand what you're saying. It's just, it's like with a mastectomy or any kind of surgery, even if you had a hysterectomy in the past, right? And
Yeah.
there's something taken from you. It requires processing. And
Mhm.
that's the reason, again, why talking to people in a community who have had similar experiences, who can uplift. And we talked about this, Monica, before we came on the show, the importance of community, but the importance of having that uplifting community, right?
Yes.
Where we understand when if you're a cancer survivor, you're not trying to minimize the impact, you're not trying to minimize the seriousness of what you've gone through. At the same time, you're not trying to stay in that place of disempowerment, loss of control, loss of, you're trying to, like, okay, how can I get my life back? And so,
Yeah.
what in your and someone's asking if we can put the app link in this chat. Do you have a link for your app?
Yeah, you can download it on any wherever you get like the Apple Store. Just put in Bezzy Breast Cancer, or you can put it in the web address Bezzy BC.
Okay,
I
let's put
don't
it.
have.
I just put Bezzy breast cancer. They can download
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. But to kind of go with what you're saying, yeah, you have to find a way to observe others in the community who have gone before you. How have they gotten to a place where the pain and trauma never goes away from it. It's there. It will always be there. Or the worry of a recurrence, or maybe, you are living with metastatic disease. How did they get to a place of meeting it in the middle, or of, I guess, acceptance or comfortable, or just managing it, right? So you're not always always feeling like the other shoe may drop or dealing with these things. And one thing that was really powerful for me in my cancer experience with community is about 4 years ago, I had gone to an event with my local in-person cancer support group, Bay Area Young Survivors again, and one of like a longtime member of that group showed up, and they were, oh gosh, they were diagnosed in their 30s, and at that time they were 17 years out, and they had been diagnosed with stage 3C as well. And I just thought that gave me a lot of empowerment, a lot of hope. I think when you go through a thing, whatever the thing is in life, cancer or whatever, you try to find someone that's as identical to your experience as possible, so you can kind of, okay, how are they? And so like here I met this person who was stage 3C like I was, and knows the odds, the percentages and everything for reoccurrence are higher. Of course, that it can happen to anyone. I've seen people with a stage 0 diagnosis get a metastatic recurrence or whatever. But then you see this person with a stage 3C 17 years out, and I think they're like 20 years out now. So that was such a game changer for me. And it made me realize too that another thing that keeps me in the breast cancer community, the importance of showing up for community, for the ones coming up behind you. If you have space for that, if you're built for that, not everybody is, and everybody can help out in the community in different ways. And maybe some people, they want to donate and that's it, whatever the thing, or they are interested in learning about research information to share or whatever. But I think it's really cool when people in the community just show up and, I've been there and I got here. It's possible. And if the trajectory of your diagnosis goes in another direction, we don't want it to go, we're still going to be there. We're here for all of it. We're going to see you through all of it. And that's a lot of comfort, I think, for people to know that.
I agree. Kenneth says, I work as an advocate for wellness through employee engagement and education with stem cell technology. I'd appreciate any support. I'd appreciate any feedback to support this work. Ken, maybe you can DM me directly and just let me know what you're thinking, and we can continue that conversation. Madison says there is so much strength in community, and there is. I really identify what you're saying, Monica, about when you met that 30-something-year-old woman who was 17 years out. It reminds me of, I'm supposed to be interviewing a 17-year metastatic breast cancer basketball coach survivor.
An outlier.
Years, yes. So,
I love that. They're 17 years out.
17 years, and she's a basketball coach. We're going to be booking our dates to come on the show very soon. But that's the kind of encouragement that you're talking about, because you remember you said when you were diagnosed at 42 and you looked around, the groups had no one like you at your age. It was all the older folks, which is traditionally,
right.
So when you are able to interact with this 30-something woman who was 30 in her 30s when she was diagnosed, now she's 17 years out. I think we all do this. We add to wherever we're at those years, right?
We do. It's that math game, right? You can't help it.
It really is. I'm sorry, but it really is. So
okay. I mean, that's just part of the new normal,
Exactly. And I was listening to someone today, and they were reminding me that what they say to breast cancer survivors, and I've heard is to live in the, just live. Don't live for the recurrence. Don't live for that. Just live for living's sake. Peter says, how do you manage your monitoring for recurrence, the stress of continued imaging, and are you on any long-term treatment?
So I have regular oncology, check-ins. Being that I had an invasive lobular, it doesn't really present on scans. It's kind of the sneaky breast cancer. So we're very aware of monitoring blood work and how I feel. And there's been a few times over the years I was like, oh my God, I have this weird pain. And my oncologist said, all right, we'll check it out. Or I remember one time I had some fat necrosis built up in my breast reconstruction, but it felt like a lump. And you go to imaging, you deal with that, and there's no getting around it. It's anxiety, right?
Yeah, of
But
course.
you have connected with community, as I had at that point, and you lean into it, right?
Right.
Um, and amazing people getting me through those moments. And as for long-term treatment, yes, I am on the 10-year plan with hormone therapy, which I cannot wait to stop. No fun getting into early induced menopause in your early 40s. So, yeah, I've been on long-term treatment.
Is that, I mean, you talking about tamoxifen or something else?
I take an aromatase inhibitor called letrozole, and I've tried them
Okay.
all. I had to find the one that was least offensive to my body.
Right,
There's a
right,
lot
right.
of symptoms and side effects that some people, not everybody, experience.
Hmm.
I think the premenopausal crowd probably has more of adjustment with hormone therapy, maybe, than older cancer. I mean, I don't know if that's a fact or not. It just kind of seems like that, listening to people's stories.
Well, as a postmenopausal woman myself, I could see why that could be, because I already went through menopause. It's like, okay, so if you're having hot flashes and all this crazy stuff that we've already experienced, if we're getting that now with the treatment, it's like it's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's not as new. It's not as like, oh my God,
yeah.
what is happening to me? Um, I'm going to ask you just one more question before we wrap it up, Monica. In the folks who are calling are part of Bezzy Breast Cancer, your app, your community. Now that you're 5 or so years or 7 or so years post, are you seeing the age range lower? Because I'm seeing a lot of younger people getting diagnosed with cancer. Are you seeing that as well in your community, or?
Yeah, and I think maybe it's because of more awareness, people advocating to advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right, stick with it.
Mhm.
Get screened or whatever. I have seen that, but I don't know if there's environmental things or if there's better, genetic markers being discovered all the time or what. I don't know, but um, yeah, I don't know why that is, but I have
Mhm.
seen that.
Okay. Okay. So our show is called T Talks, right? Because it's about the T cells, right? We
Yeah.
kind of base it off the T cells, happy cells. And so as we end our show today, and we're talking about the power, the importance of community, what would you like to say to someone? It doesn't have to be newly diagnosed. It's someone who's on the journey, whether they're in the survivor category, whether they're going through a treatment. What would you like to say to that woman or man, really? We
Mhm.
talk about breast cancer, but cancer is cancer. What would you like to say to that person about community?
Yeah, lean in, lean
Mhm.
in, and show up sometimes, even if you don't think you need to or should. That might be the time you need it most, and maybe you might be the person that can show the new people coming in, what life can look like. And I think there's a lot of value and empowerment to try and be a person who can cultivate a safe space for people. People just want to be seen and heard, right? They want you to bear witness. I can't fix your thing, but I can give you a space to offload it. And if you can find yourself in a place where you can validate, commiserate, celebrate with people all the things, and honor all the feelings. I think that's really important. You've said several times to try and keep in a positive space, but I think before you can get to that positive space, it's very, very important to honor the hard parts of the journey. And I guess the bottom line, I kind of deviated off your question, but that's kind of what I would tell people: honor those hard places, try to do it in community or observing communities. Maybe you're a lurker online and just observing communities, that's okay too. but honor those things so you can get to another place that's not as hard and heavy.
Um, I think before I read that, I think you're so right when you say to honor the hard place, because it is hard and there's no sense glossing over it. The scans give people PTSD. We know that, you know. It's I don't care who you are. I just had a scan maybe
Mm.
2 or 3 months ago. You know, I had to kind of like talk to people in community, like, all right, and they're like, all right, it's gonna be okay, you know. But so yeah, we have to honor those hard pockets and those hard places, because as Peter asks, it's the journey of anyone with who's had cancer. You got to keep that testing going, and every time you test, you remember the first time you heard that bad news. So I agree with you about honoring the hard places, and at the same time, then try to live in where we're going or where
Yeah.
we're hoping to go.
Yeah, and holding in those things and not honoring them, I really believe, like you've said too, about integrative oncology or being holistic. Our body physically holds those energies in, or those traumas, and all that too. So it's good. It's good to let some of it out, let some of the steam out by just talking to community and sharing.
Yes,
100%.
yes. Well, Kenneth, again, thank you for sharing. And yes, I think it's all scary. You know, I had a doctor on the show yesterday, and she gave me the statistic that even though breast cancer and prostate, and I think there was another one that was diagnosed more frequently, lung cancer kills more than all of the three combined.
Yeah,
I
I've
had no
heard that.
idea about that. That
I
was
didn't
just,
either till I heard.
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. So, you always think that breast cancer is the number one killer
Yeah,
because it's just so prevalent. But lung cancer killed more than the other three cancers combined. So
yeah,
so cancer is cancer, and we're just really glad that we're able to bring information, from survivors, from doctors, from advocacy, from people in the health equity space to the forefront, and to hope, and to help to encourage people who are on the LinkedIn community, on the Facebook community, on the YouTube community, which is where we broadcast every single week. So thank you, Monica, for being a
yeah. Thank
wonderful guest.
you.
Thank you so much for being here and for the work that you're doing. And hopefully, as we put the word out about Bezzy Breast, people get the app, you download the app, or you'll go online and you'll join a community if you are just looking to be with others who have walked your current walk.
Yep.
So
DM
until
me and say hi if you end up in there. And thank you for the tea talks. I really enjoyed the one you did with the integrative oncologist you had. I think that's your oncologist.
he was,
You're
yeah.
lucky. That's a great oncologist.
Yes, yes, she was amazing.
That
I
was
was
a great
thinking,
episode.
thank you so much, Kate. I was thinking, Monica, I was thinking today, I was gonna see if I should get my breast surgeon on here, because she was amazing. And so I'm gonna see if I can work that out.
Yeah,
Get her
yeah.
on here. Yeah.
That's great. I think um did you get a breast reconstruction as well?
No, just a
No.
lumpectomy, but
Oh,
just
that's me. Okay.
her attitude, and just her proficiency, and just her positivity made a humongous difference to me, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be so helpful to people because I don't think people know all the time either about all what questions to ask their breast surgeons, and then further to that, what are all your reconstruction options from aesthetic flat closure to deep flap reconstructions and all that. So
Well, stay tuned, because Total Health is coming out with with our first Compass Journey map, and we are going to be doing triple negative breast cancer. We're going to be mapping that experience.
that's
And
great.
the idea is to arm our patients with the information that they can bring to their doctors and say, "This is what I know. This is on my journey," and ask those questions, because, as you know, Monica, an educated patient will have better outcomes. That's my feeling. An
Yes.
educated patient will have better outcomes. So we want to educate patients about their diseases. So stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah. Keep the stories coming. that's what helps the community. Yeah.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And please feel free to share. We actually have a playlist on YouTube with all the tea talks, you
I
know. So,
saw all of them. I've listened to several of them, and you've had
yeah.
some great guests. Like I said, the integrative oncologist was a standout one for me. I loved that.
Awesome.
We need to have this holistic approach to treating cancer patients 100%.
Yes, yes. Well, with that feedback, I'm going to try to bring on some more guests like that, because alternative and integrative, you know, we people want to know what are all the options. So I will
Yeah.
definitely bear that in mind. All right. Thanks again, Monica. And thanks again for all of you for watching.
Thanks so much.